So our first presentation today, on to Sonya. Professor Sonya Girdler is an Autism CRC Program Director for the Adult Program. That's the third program, and is also Director of the Curtin Autism Research Group at Curtin University. And check out all of their work. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm sure you can Google it. Sonya is here to tell us about the research that underpins the Integrated Employment Success Tool for Employers, which is due to be released very soon. Unfortunately, Sonia's been double booked, so she's not going to be able to stay for the Q&A session at the end, but please do pop in Q&A questions in the Q&A box below, and we'll make sure that she gets them. So without further delay, all of us are going to turn off our webcam and we'll pass it on to Sonya. Over to you, Sonya.
Thank you, Andrew. I'll just share my screen and get my presentation started. Here we go. This is always the bit where you pray where everything works. There we go. And we're all good to go. Okay, good morning, everyone. I'm really excited to present to you today some of our work looking at evaluating the effectiveness of an autism-specific workplace tool, or affectionately known as the IEST. And as Andrew was saying, employment is a highly desirable social achievement for most individuals, including those on the autism spectrum. Work facilitates economic independence, engenders a sense of purpose and accomplishment, and provides opportunities for socialisation and a mechanism through which we can contribute to society. And for many, work even contributes quite significantly to their identity. How many times do you meet someone at a party and the first question that you ask is, what do you do for work? However, when it comes to employment for people with disability, Australia has one of the lowest rates of employment, with autistic individuals underrepresented in employment, even in comparison to other disability groups. In Australia, the unemployment rate for autistic individuals of working age between 15 and 64 years is only 32%. In comparison, for 10% of individuals with disabilities and 6% for individuals without disabilities. So that's the unemployment rate. So nearly a third of autistic individuals are actually unemployed. Despite autistic individuals having much to contribute to society, their employment outcomes are particularly poor, even compared to those with other disabilities. Due to their social, communicative, and cognitive difficulties, autistic people may experience unique challenges finding and maintaining competitive employment. This may include difficulties promoting themselves in an interview, holding reciprocal conversations, integrating into a social network, or adjusting to new work environments and responding flexibly to changes in the workplace. In contrast, autistic individuals have many unique strengths, and they may perform well at jobs that require systematic information processing, a high degree of visual accuracy, precise and technical abilities, and increased concentration abilities. While many of these attributes are attractive qualities to employers, the difficulties they experience rather than the actual job performance are often the origin of their workplace challenges, resulting in poor employment outcomes. Research into adult outcomes in autism and associated interventions has predominantly focused on impairment-related challenges and improving social functioning. While this is beneficial in improving employment outcomes, there has been a lack of consideration into the impact of social and environmental factors on employment. There are many environmental factors that impact on employment outcomes for autistic individuals, and these include a lack of transition planning, a lack of autism awareness in the workplace, employer attitudes, aspects of the work environment, and a lack of autism-specific support services. These environmental factors can play an important role in either facilitating or hindering work participation. Employers can be considered a predominant environmental factor impacting the employment process, with their attitudes towards disability in the workplace being well recognised as influencing their hiring decisions, their inclusive workplace practices, and willingness to provide workplace accommodations. While employer attitudes are often underpinned by misperceptions and a lack of knowledge regarding autism, many may also lack the confidence in their ability to manage and support employees with autism and implement appropriate and effective workplace modifications. Consequently, many employers feel uncertain and unprepared in identifying potential workplace challenges and approaching their autistic employees in relation to their specific support needs. Given the critical role that employers play in job attainment and retention, strategies to enhance employer capacity, particularly their confidence and knowledge, are essential. So if employers are to fulfill their responsibilities of creating inclusive work environments by enhancing employment opportunities and effectively providing support for autistic individuals, then employer education is critical in developing their prerequisite attitudes and improving their self-efficacy for supporting their staff. However, employers are currently an under-supported and overlooked resource in the work environment, with a paucity of studies exploring their capacities to support autistic individuals. In response to this need, an autism-specific workplace tool was developed with the following aim: to understand the effectiveness of an autism-specific workplace tool in improving employers' self-efficacy and knowledge in modifying the work environment to meet the specific needs of their autistic employees. This autism-specific workplace tool was the Integrated Employment Success Tool, or affectionately known as the IEST. The IEST was developed to create an awareness of autism, assist employers to identify potential environmental and workplace challenges, recommend the modifications or strategies to be implemented in the workplace to resolve these challenges, facilitating a mutually beneficial relationship between employers and autistic employees, and improve employment outcomes in relation to productivity and job retention. The IEST is a practically focused manual consisting of 8 modules, each containing autism-specific information, checklists and goal-setting activities, workplace modification strategies, and additional workplace-related resources. The trial version of the IEST was evaluated using a 2-armed randomised control trial. Employers were recruited across Australia and were eligible to participate if they lived in Australia, had adequate English to read the manual, currently employed at least one autistic adult who self-identified as having autism, and then autistic employees were required to be over the age of 18 and working in open or supported paid employment, either on a full-time, part-time or casual basis. Over 18 months, we recruited 84 employers, and we randomly allocated these to either the IEST intervention or the intervention group or the control group. And these participants were blinded to their group allocation and the study hypothesis, but are informed of the broader purpose of the trial, which was to improve employment outcomes for individuals with autism. Data was analysed using an intention to treat approach and per protocol analysis. And we also did some subgroup analysis to compare subgroups of participants in the intervention and control group. Results of the intention to treat analysis and the on-protocol analysis were similar. So for participants in the intervention group, there were significant differences in their confidence and knowledge in supporting autistic employees, suggesting that for those employers who did use the IEST, it did improve their confidence. However, overall, between groups, there was no significant difference in confidence. This is most likely the result of only 1/3 of the intervention group using the IEST. We found that even in the intervention group, that employers are a very, very busy group of individuals, and almost 1/3 of our participants didn't use the IEST at all, even in the intervention group. And another third only used it once a month. So we only really had 1/3 in the intervention group who used the IEST on a regular basis. But what this shows to me is that for those individuals who actually used this tool, it was a very, very powerful tool because they experienced significant improvement in their self-efficacy. And with employers' attitudes, there was no significant differences between groups. However, both groups scored relatively highly on their attitudes towards working with people with disabilities at baseline. And this is likely the result that these employers were already employing people with autism. So they already had a positive pre-existing attitude towards autism. So that's probably the reason that we had really high levels at baseline. So while this study lacked significant difference between groups, the evidence did really suggest that the IEST was considered beneficial to employers who used it in improving their confidence and knowledge in modifying the work environment. The subgroup analysis suggested that the IEST was particularly beneficial to employers with no previous experience employing autistic individuals and who did not have the support of a disability employment provider. So in undertaking this work, we also undertook what's called a process evaluation, because while RCTs are useful in evaluating the efficacy of an intervention, they are predominantly focused on pre-specified outcomes and not on the process involved in implementing the intervention. A process evaluation is really useful in interpreting the outcomes of an RCT and providing valuable insight into the success or failure of an intervention and recommendations for future improvement. These process evaluations assist in determining the fidelity and the quality of an intervention implementation, and in clarifying relationships or what's happening, and identifying and interpreting contextual factors that may act as a barrier or facilitator to the implementation of a particular intervention. That is why this is really important when we're wanting to look at how the IST actually worked in the workplace. Findings from our process evaluation revealed that participants' experiences implementing the IST could be described according to 3 major themes. Thematic analysis revealed that both high responders and low responders had similar experiences using and implementing the IST, and that the IST, from their perspective, the IST in their respective workplaces, but it differed in terms of the amount of details that they provided regarding the impact of the intervention and on their behavioural change. So theme 2 was actually seeing the workplace from a different perspective. And I think this is really important because it actually helped people to see how they might see their workplace from the perspective of an autistic individual. So recommendations from our study were that employers are really time poor. And I think this was a really important finding, and that we require that the format of the IST was actually in our study trial quite long, and we actually needed to make it more accessible and more easily to read. And we've now done that in our work with the CRC. They were also after more alternatives, which were shorter, more pocket-sized versions of the IST, and maybe even a single-page summary, which detailed the most essential daily information, tip sheets, those kind of things. Also, for employers at different stages of the employment process, like for recruiting versus providing ongoing support, with varying levels of experience supporting people on the autism spectrum, that we really needed both a beginner and an advanced version of the IST. That would be really helpful for employers. And lastly, the addition of a module addressing autism and mental health in the workplace may assist employers in identifying the potential triggers of meltdowns and information relating to signs of anxiety, stress, and depression, and provide them with more information on appropriate support strategies for supporting their autistic individuals. So where to now? The IST is due for public release in the next couple of weeks. The final product includes a decision tree to help identify the stage of employment and what stage of the employment process people are at, checklists and goal-setting activities, and it steps people through the workplace modification process. So there's a few more checklists and helpful tips in regards to the workplace modification process. There are strategies on how to provide ongoing support to employees, including supporting mental health. We have downloadable templates and interactive links. And there's also external links for online resources on how to get more support for autistic employees. Here's all our wonderful resources. We're really, really excited that the IST will be released in the next couple of weeks. So watch this space, and it will be on the CRC website, and you'll be able to download it and use it. So it's very exciting times to see it all really come to fruition after so many years of work. So thank you. And I hope that that was useful, and I look forward to receiving your comments on how you like the IST.
Hello, fantastic. Sonya, thank you so much. And can I just say, I am absolutely super excited to see the IST come to fruition. That's been 6+ years of extraordinarily hard work to get to that point. And so shout out to the whole team that has developed that.